Yes, this video I would like to explain something to Shane Van Stein, the purported mayor of Geraldton. Sir, you're a disgusting degenerate to go on Facebook and accuse me of having anything to do with the death of Heather Glendinning. She was a very troubled person, yes, I get that. She had just won a huge lawsuit. Did you look at that? Did you look at why somebody would want to get rid of her, considering she was going to use that money to sue her ex-husband and another person who she suspected of committing crimes? And that's as far as I'm going with that, because it was tossed out of court for ridiculous reasons, and for a paid troll named Tim Prater to pick up that story and try and accuse me again. This Tim Prater said he used all my stuff in court and lost, and he had to borrow the money to pay his rate so he didn't lose his property. Tim, you're a liar. Produce what you put to the court and show where I put that to the court and how I was wrong. You can't, you're a liar. Now, back to Shane. What took place in court, you had no idea, you weren't there. So, just one little thing I'd like to enlighten you with. In relation to evidence, which is what you need before you open your big mouth and pump out all that nonsense. You need to be able to see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, or feel it. That is basic laws of evidence. You don't know about that because you haven't bothered to look. Now, the only thing else that goes in there is physical evidence like tyre tread, blood, fingerprints, DNA, and that's evidence. Everything else is hearsay, unless it's something that complies with all the information I've just given you. Now, what took place in the court? Yeah, the magistrate said, I'm going to award costs against you because blah, 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 you didn't tell me about the property. There was no obligation for me to, so I told him. He never answered after that. So you assume I owe you $1,800. No, don't. Did he fine me? No, that part of the newspaper was nonsense. Did he order me to pay costs? No. He never issued an order. There is no order. Now, let's look at the truth of it. All the reporters left the court before it finished. But it doesn't make any difference. What I said when your people said, what about the property? He said, I can't deal with that. Then they said, we need an order in relation to property. He said, I have no authority to deal with property. For once, he told the truth. He has no authority. 12 of my peers under Clause 39 of Magna Carta are the only ones can deliver my property up to somebody who can prove the case. This issue's never been to court. The magistrate's gone from the beginning of the case saying, oh look, the Local Government Act gives them a right to sign a bit of paper and take your property if they think you owe them money. Nonsense. What sort of an idiot would make that statement? But he went from idiot to got a little bit of brains in his head by the end of it. Start of the first day on the 22nd, he admitted he swore the oath I put to him, which was not a lawful oath. He was sitting out of jurisdiction because he was sitting under state acts and statutes on an unlawful oath in direct contravention of the oath he owed to us. Treason, which I told him. He was sitting in treason, he was committing treason. Second day, fronted up, I put the same things to him and said, now, under Section 44, you're incapable of sitting. You're attainted to treason. I accused you of treason yesterday. You're sitting in treason today. Third day, which is the 6th of February, exactly the same. Exactly the same. The problem we got then, when he finished all his dribble about the costs and all the things about he had no authority to deal with the land. If he had no authority to deal with the land, you had no authority to run up costs. You had no authority to demand I move my stuff. You had no authority to break into my buildings, smash all my stuff and throw it out on the ground. He admitted to several serious crimes committed by all who were involved. Remember your little mate, Mr. Peter Smith. He admitted to forcing entry to my workshop. No warrant, no order from a court, nothing. The magistrate just put him in a position of breaking into a building. What's gone? Heaps of stuff have gone out of my workshop. How much was taken with my ex-wife by my ex-wife's boyfriend? I don't know. I know a lot. Motors, gearboxes, heaps of stuff worth thousands of dollars. In fact, almost $170,000 worth. They think they're smart. He admitted they committed a crime because he had no right to say you had a right of entry, nor does anyone else. Only 12 of my peers. I then said to him when we got all that out of the way, you've got a problem with this. Certificate of title. Certificate of title means I own the property. I don't have a Torrens title. I have a document of ownership called Certificate of Title. You don't know that because you don't have enough intellect to understand what you're dealing with. Treason, theft, fraud, and you're guilty of all of it. So are all the reporters. They sat there and listened to everything. They have a duty to sit neutral in the middle and weigh it up. No, they had to go and stick up for local government, stick up for the government, which isn't really, it's only a parliament with no authority whatsoever to deal with us the way they are. Now, what made the magistrate leave the court? Simply, I then said, this is our constitution. We the people put this in place. We the people rule in this country. This is your treasonous piece of garbage that you call a constitution. Belongs to the political parties and the Australian government. You know what that means, Shane? Exactly what I told him. You are now sitting in treason. This is a document which overturns and removes our constitution. Section 80, subsection 1AC of the Crimes Act applies. You committed an act of treachery by this book to remove this book, which is our constitution. You understand, every politician, every judge, every magistrate, every police officer, every single person who exercises authority over another inside the Commonwealth of Australia, including reporters who have it in their hands to say, this is our law, that's what they're doing, and let people judge on that. They're not. They're biased towards you. This book proves you have committed an act of treachery to overturn our constitution. There's a nice prize waiting for all of you. Is it going to come about? Yes. That's why we filed in the House of Lords. That's why Rod Cullerton filed to the Privy Council and to the High Court of England. Because they have to uphold our law. Not yours, not this piece of junk. This nice little book that contains our constitution and the lawful annotations, which are public record. The Hansard of how it came about. Now, can you get your thick little mind around that, Shane Van Stein? You are committing treason. You are committing treachery to overturn our constitution. You understand that? That's why the magistrate stood up and walked quickly out of the court and didn't come back. If he's come back since, doesn't matter. He's still come back to sit in treason and treachery to overturn our constitution. Does that get through your thick head, Shane Van Stein? You did not take my property. You did not win. This is not a win-win situation for property. It is me exercising my right as an officer of the Crown to tell you to get the hell off my property, stay off, and don't go back. I have never lost it. I have never ever given it up. I don't care what deals you did with my ex-wife. I don't care what deals you do with the government. I couldn't care less if you went off with the fairies or Father Christmas. I own the property. Get the picture? Learn the rules of evidence. I have them. I presented them. You, sir, are a liar. You are a deceiver and a misleader of the people. Why you are in that job collecting all that money, you're just a paid liar. Read chapter 3 of the Constitution. I had the right every single time to challenge the jurisdiction of the court. He could not dispel my challenge. He lied on the last day and said, I dismiss all of that. Boo-hoo. Where was your authority to dismiss it? You didn't have any. I'm sorry, but you're going to jail. You call yourself a magistrate? We say you're not. Our Constitution says you're not. This piece of garbage puts a title on you. Until you swear the oath of allegiance, or judges swear the oath of allegiance, or politicians, or council workers, and lawyers, you want to sit in our court and exercise authority against us, you must show under what section of the Constitution that comes from. Want to know where that is? Chapter 3, Section 76, page 795, fourth paragraph. Anyone throughout the Commonwealth who exercises authority over another, when required to do so, must state under what section of the Constitution they're doing it. You can't. That's not a Constitution. That won't give you authority. This will. This will not give you authority until you swear the lawful oath. Till then, you're a traitor, you're a fraud, and you're an outright liar. You don't like the terms? Tough. That's the truth. Based on evidence. Evidence I've seen, I read it. Evidence I've heard people talk about it. I touch this book, I look at this book, made by us the people. Evidence proves this is our book. Evidence proves this is the biggest piece of treasonous garbage ever inflicted on the Australian people in direct conflict of the 1999 referendum. When we said we didn't want a republic, this says we got it. Liars, traitors, frauds, you have a very good life, because the penalty for what you've done is imprisonment for life. For life. And that's justified. You lose, your family loses every single thing they got. Swap all your assets in the companies, doesn't matter. You lose a lot. You don't get a pension, you shouldn't get one anyway, but you just have a nice life. And congratulations, Shane, you've just passed the test as a first class, dumbed down trader. Have a nice life. Think you can beat that one, Shane? You can't.